There are three people that you have to sell your home to, and only one of them is the actual buyer. Sounds weird, right? But if you want to sell quickly and for top dollar, this is the truth that no one talks about. Look, I'm Scott Moran, Maryland's tallest realtor, and before selling real estate, I was a loan officer for one of the largest mortgage lenders in the nation. So I've literally seen both sides of every transaction, the real estate side and the finance side. I sell over 40 homes per year, and I've spent years running sales training programs, and I'm an active investor, buying and selling homes every year. What I've learned after 11 years in this business, most people think selling real estate is all about convincing the buyer. That's where they're wrong. The Baltimore metro market is different than it was just 2 years ago. Interest rates are higher, buyers are more selective, and every detail matters. I've seen perfectly good homes sit for months because the seller didn't understand the three-person strategy. Today, I'm going to break down exactly who these three people are, why each one of them can make or break your sale, and most importantly, how to win them over. Trust me, miss even one of these three, and your home either won't sell or you'll leave serious money on the table. First up is the most obvious, the buyer. But here's what most sellers don't understand. This person isn't just buying bedrooms and square footage, they're buying a feeling, they're buying a vision of their future life. I grew up in Columbia, and my daughter is in the Howard County school system just like I was. I know the area like the back of my hand. When I take buyers through homes, I'm not just showing them the kitchen, I'm helping them imagine their Saturday mornings with their family, their daughter doing homework at that kitchen island, their family dinners around the kitchen table. My wife and I, when we were looking for our home in Ellicott City, we walked into this house and she immediately said, I can see mornings with Tenley playing in the backyard. That's the moment that we went from lookers to buyers. That's the emotional connection that buyers need to feel. So, how do you create an emotional connection? First, your home needs to be staged properly, not necessarily professionally, though that does help. It needs to tell a story. Remove personal photos, depersonalize, and keep it warm. I tell my sellers, as soon as you feel like you're not in your own home, but you love to move in, you've nailed it. Second, think about what the buyer's lifestyle might be. In Howard County, we get lots of young families, professionals who work in both Baltimore or DC. They want to see a home office setup. They want to see family functionality. The home needs to speak to their daily routine. And here's something that I learned from my mortgage days. Buyers today are more cautious. They're putting down larger down payments. They're pre approved for specific amounts. And they're not going to fall in love with a home that feels like it needs major work. Buyers don't want to spend tens of thousands of dollars updating when their mortgage rate is doubling from their current home. The emotional connection has to feel effortless. Next is someone that most sellers completely overlook, the buyer's real estate agent. This person has massive influence over whether your home even gets considered, and here's why. They've seen hundreds of homes. They know what sells and what doesn't. They know which homes are going to turn into an inspection nightmare and which ones will close smoothly. I represent buyers all the time, and I'll be honest with you, when I see certain red flags, I steer my clients away before they even make an offer. Overpriced homes, poor photos, obvious maintenance issues, homes that have been sitting on the market for a couple of months with multiple price reductions. I don't want my clients to take their time away from their family to see a home that's been passed by dozens of other buyers just like them. I'm protecting my client's interest and my own reputation. Here's what happens behind the scenes. That buyer's agent gets the listing alert, looks at your photos, checks your price against recent comparable sales, maybe even drives by your home before the showing. If the listing looks like it's going to be a headache, if your agent didn't do their homework on pricing, if your photos are dark and outdated, your description might be boring. That agent says to their buyer, let's keep looking. I've seen this happen so many times. A beautiful home, great bones, but the listing agent priced it $20,000 too high and used photos that look like they're from an iPhone 7. As a buyer's agent, we take one look and say, this seller isn't serious. Let's move on. Meanwhile, the seller is sitting there wondering, why aren't we getting any showings? Or here's another one. Home is priced right, but the agent's description doesn't evoke emotion. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, granite countertops, boring. The buyer's agent isn't excited to show it because they don't know the lifestyle that their client's going to have in this home. From my mortgage background, I know that good agents also look at the likelihood of an appraisal issue. If your home is priced aggressively or there aren't solid comps to support it, that buyer's agent knows their client might not get financing. They'll recommend looking somewhere elsewhere rather than risking a deal falling through. Or they come in planning to take advantage of the seller's desperation with no one else looking or viewing at the home. So, how do you win over the buyer's agent? First, work with a listing agent that understands agent to agent relationships. We need to make their job easy. Professional photos, accurate pricing based on recent comparable sales, detailed listing descriptions that help them sell your home to your client. Second, be responsive to showing requests. If a client wants to see your home at 6 p.m. on a Tuesday, make it happen. Buyer's agents remember which listings are welcoming and which ones made them jump through hoops just to fit it into their client's schedule. Third, address obvious issues up front. Paint your door, replace broken light bulbs, clean the house. Buyer's agents can sway their client's offer if they remember there being a lack of pride of ownership. And third, this is the one that can tank the deal without the buyer even seeing the home, the appraiser. Even if the buyer loves the home, even if the agent is fully on board, ready to write a strong offer, it doesn't matter if the bank won't approve financing on the home. This is where my years as a loan officer really comes in handy. I've seen deals die at the appraisal more times than I can count. Beautiful house, motivated buyer, solid contract, but the appraisal, it comes in $15,000 low. Suddenly, nobody can get financing. The buyer might walk away, and the seller, they're back to square one. Here's how appraisals actually work. The appraiser, they get an order from the lender with the contract price. They're not supposed to be influenced by that price, but let's be real. They know what number that they need to hit. They're looking for 3 comparable sales within the last 6 months, preferably in the immediate area. That's going to support the value that you're asking for. The challenge comes when your home doesn't fit that mold. Maybe you've got the biggest house in the neighborhood, or you made custom upgrades that aren't reflected in other sales, or there just aren't enough recent comparable sales because inventory's been low. That's where strategy comes in. This is why I always meet the appraiser when they come to my listing. I bring a packet of information, recent comparable sales, details about improvements that have been made to the home, an explanation of what makes this home unique and adds value. I don't try to influence them, but I make sure they have all the information they need. For example, if you renovated your kitchen last year with high end appliances and custom cabinetry, but the appraiser doesn't see the receipts or know the scope of work, they might not give credit for that value. My job is to make sure that they understand what they're looking at. I also ask questions during the appraisal visit, not to be invasive, but to document what the appraiser is focused on, what they're seeing in the market, which comps they might be looking into. If there's an issue, I want to be able to address it with facts, not just emotions. The best defense against appraisal problems is pricing your home correctly from the start. I run a detailed, comprehensive market analysis. I'll look at active listings that might compete with yours, and I price strategically. Sometimes that means starting slightly under the market value to create multiple offers. Because if you have 3 buyers bidding against each other, they're going to bid up to the true value, anyways. So here's the thing, to sell your home quickly and for top dollar, you have to think about all 3 of these people. You have to stage and present your home in a way that the buyer falls in love. You have to price to the market so the buyer's agent is excited to show it. And you have to prepare documentation justifying so that the appraiser can confidently hit your number. That is why I always recommend a comprehensive pre listing consultation. We walk through your home together. I identify what needs to be addressed for each of these 3 audiences, and we create a strategic plan before we go live. Because in this market, you can't get a second chance to make a first impression. Look, I've sold over 200 homes in my career. I've seen every situation that you can imagine. The homes that sell quickly and for above asking price, they nail all 3 of these relationships. The homes that sit on the market for months and eventually sell for less than asking, they usually fail with at least one of these 3 people. If you're thinking about selling in this market, don't wing it. Let's schedule a pre listing consultation where we'll walk through your home and identify exactly what needs to happen to win over all 3 decision makers. I'll bring my market analysis, my staging recommendations, and my strategy for pricing and positioning your home. No obligation, no pressure, just straight talk about what it takes to sell your home in this market. You can call me, text me directly, or click on the link in the description. I'm always happy to answer any questions you have. Remember, I'm not just Maryland's tallest realtor, I'm your neighbor, and I want you to succeed. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.